Have you ever felt trapped in a situation where you knew something was wrong, but you didn't know how to get out? This is the story of Jake, a young man who found the courage to escape an unhealthy situation and discover what true freedom really means. Stay with me because this journey will show you that no matter how stuck you feel, there's always a way forward. My name is Jake, and I'm 22 years old now. When I look back at my life, I can see clearly how things went from normal to confusing to downright unhealthy. But back then, when I was living through it, everything seemed foggy and unclear. I grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone. My parents divorced when I was 9 years old. My dad moved to another state for work, and I stayed with my mom. At first, everything seemed okay. Mom worked hard at the local hospital as a nurse, and we had a small but comfortable apartment. She always made sure I had what I needed for school, and we spent weekends watching movies or going to the park. But as I got older, things started to change in ways I didn't understand at first. When I turned 13, Mom started acting differently. She became really protective, more than other parents I knew. She didn't want me hanging out with friends after school. She would call me every hour when I was at a friend's house. She needed to know exactly where I was, who I was with, and what I was doing every single minute. At first, I thought she was just being a caring mom. After all, she was alone and probably worried about me. I tried to be understanding. I started saying no to my friends when they invited me to basketball games or birthday parties. I didn't want to upset her or make her worry. By the time I was 15, I had almost no friends left. They stopped inviting me places because I always said no. During lunch at school, I sat alone while other kids laughed and joked together. I told myself it was fine, that I didn't need friends anyway. Mum said I was special, that I was more mature than the other kids, and that's why I didn't fit in with them. She would tell me every day, "Jake, you're all I have. You're the only person who truly understands me. Everyone else has let me down, but not you. You're my rock." When she said these things, I felt important and needed. But I also felt heavy, like I was carrying a weight that kept getting bigger. When I turned 16, I wanted to get a part-time job at the grocery store like some of my classmates. I thought it would be good to earn my own money and maybe meet some people. But Mum cried when I told her. She said, "Why do you want to leave me alone? Don't I do enough for you? Am I not a good enough mother?" I felt terrible. I dropped the idea immediately and apologized over and over. She started making all my decisions. What clothes I wore, what I ate, what time I went to bed, even though I was becoming an adult. She picked out my outfits every morning, laying them on my bed before I woke up. If I tried to wear something different, she would get upset and ask why I didn't like her choices. If I was embarrassed by her. One day in my junior year, a girl named Maya talked to me in the library. She was kind and funny, and we started studying together for our history class. For the first time in years, I felt normal. I felt like a regular teenager. Maya made me laugh, and I looked forward to seeing her at school. But when I mentioned Maya to my mum, her whole face changed. She became cold and quiet. That night, she sat me down and said, "Jake, I need to tell you something about that girl. I know her mother, and that family has problems. The girl is just using you. She probably wants something from you. I don't want you to get hurt." I was confused because Maya seemed so genuine. But Mum kept talking, telling me stories about Maya's family that I had no way to check if they were true. She cried and said she was only trying to protect me because she loved me so much. Eventually, I stopped studying with Maya. When Maya asked me why, I couldn't explain. I just avoided her until she stopped trying. This pattern repeated over and over. Any time I tried to connect with someone, any time I showed interest in something outside our home, Mom found a way to stop it. She would cry or get angry, or tell me worried stories about why it was dangerous or wrong. By the time I graduated high school, I felt completely isolated. I had no close friends, no hobbies, no plans for the future. Mum said I should go to the community college nearby and live at home. She said it would save money and we could stay together. She made it sound so reasonable that I agreed. College was supposed to be my fresh start, but it wasn't. Mum drove me to campus every day and picked me up right after my classes ended. She checked my phone regularly, reading my text messages and looking at my call history. She said it was for my safety, that there were dangerous people out there, and she needed to make sure I was okay. I felt like I was suffocating, but I didn't know how to say it. Whenever I tried to express that I needed more freedom, she would break down crying. She would say things like, "After everything I've sacrificed for you, this is how you repay me? By wanting to abandon me?" I would feel guilty immediately and take back whatever I had said. One night, when I was 19, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, feeling like I was drowning. I realized that I couldn't remember the last time I had made a decision for myself. I couldn't remember the last time I felt happy. My whole life revolved around keeping Mom calm and satisfied, and I had disappeared somewhere along the way. The next day, I did something I had never done before. During my lunch break at college, I went to the counseling center. My hands were shaking as I walked through the door. I sat down with a counselor named Mrs. Rodriguez, and for the first time, I told someone the truth about my life. Mrs. Rodriguez listened carefully without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that changed everything. "Jake, what you're describing is not normal parent-child relationship. This is called enmeshment, and it's a form of emotional control. Your mother may love you, but the way she's treating you is not healthy for either of you." I felt like someone had turned on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, I could see clearly. All those years, I thought I was being a good son. I thought I was being understanding and caring. But really, I had lost myself completely. Mrs. Rodriguez helped me understand that loving someone doesn't mean giving up your entire identity. She explained that healthy relationships have boundaries, that it's okay to have your own thoughts, feelings, and life separate from your parents. She said that what I was experiencing wasn't my fault, and that I deserved to have my own life. Over the next few months, I met with Mrs. Rodriguez every week. She helped me create a plan. I couldn't just suddenly change everything because I was financially dependent on Mom and living in her house. But I could start taking small steps toward independence. First, I got a part-time job at the college library. When Mom objected, I stood firm for the first time. I said calmly, "Mom, I'm going to do this. I need work experience for my future." She cried and argued, but I didn't back down. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done, but I did it. Having that job changed everything. I started earning my own money. I met people at work who became friendly acquaintances. My supervisor, Mr. Chun, was kind and encouraging. He treated me like a capable adult, which was something I wasn't used to. I opened my own bank account that Mom didn't have access to. I started saving every penny I could. Mrs. Rodriguez helped me research apartments I might be able to afford if I saved enough, and found a full-time job after graduation. I also changed my phone password. When Mom demanded to know it, I said, "Mom, I'm an adult now. I love you, but I need some privacy." She was furious. She didn't speak to me for 3 days, giving me the silent treatment. In the past, I would have apologized and given in, but this time I stayed strong. Eventually, she started talking to me again, though she remained cold for weeks. Each small step I took toward independence felt terrifying. My heart would pound and I would feel guilty and scared. But Mrs. Rodriguez reminded me that these feelings were normal. She said I was breaking patterns that had been built over many years, and that would naturally feel uncomfortable. One day, A guy from my psychology class named Marcus invited a group of us to play basketball on Saturday. Without thinking too hard about it, I said yes. When I told Mom I was going out on Saturday, she immediately started her usual tactics. But we always spend Saturdays together. Don't you want to be with me? I've been looking forward to our time together all week. I took a deep breath and said, Mom, I'll be back in a few hours. You can still spend most of the day together. I just want to play basketball with some classmates. She stared at me like I had spoken in a foreign language. Then she started crying, saying I had changed, that I didn't love her anymore, that she had given me everything and this was how I thanked her. This time I didn't crumble. My hands were shaking, but I said quietly, I do love you, Mom, and I'll see you later today. Then I left. Playing basketball that Saturday was one of the best afternoons of my life. I was terrible at the game because I hadn't played in years. But I didn't care. Marcus and the others were friendly and funny. They joked around and included me in their conversations. For those few hours, I felt free. When I came home, Mum wasn't speaking to me. She made herself dinner but didn't make any for me, which was her way of punishing me. In the past, this would have devastated me. But now, I simply made myself a sandwich and ate it peacefully. Over the next year, I continued taking steps forward. I graduated from community college with an associate degree. I applied for full-time jobs in the city, which was about an hour away. When I got a job offer as an assistant at a marketing company, I accepted it immediately. Telling Mom I was moving out was the hardest conversation of my life. I had practiced with Mrs. Rodriguez many times, but when the moment came, my whole body was trembling. Mom, I need to tell you something. I got a job in the city, and I'm going to move there. I've already found an apartment with a roommate. Her face went through so many emotions: shock, hurt, anger, panic. She started crying immediately. You can't leave me. You're all I have. How will I survive without you? This is so selfish, Jake. After everything I've done for you. I had to remind myself to breathe. Mum, this isn't about you doing anything wrong. I need to start my adult life. This is normal. Kids grow up and move out. It doesn't mean I don't love you. She tried everything. She cried. She yelled. She told me I would fail without her. She said I was ungrateful. She even said she might get sick or hurt if I wasn't there to take care of her. Each thing she said felt like a knife, but I held firm. I'm moving out next month, Mom. I hope you can support me, but I'm going either way. The weeks leading up to my move were awful. Mom barely spoke to me. When she did, it was to make negative comments about my decision, or to predict all the ways I would fail. Some days I doubted myself. Maybe she was right. Maybe I couldn't make it on my own. But I kept going to see Mrs. Rodriguez, and she kept reminding me that I was doing the right thing. She said Mom's reaction was about her own fears and need for control, not about my capability or worth. Moving day finally came. I had packed my belongings, which weren't many since I had never been allowed to accumulate much personal stuff. My roommate, a guy named Tyler who also worked at the marketing company, came with his truck to help me move. Mom stayed in her bedroom with the door closed. She wouldn't come out to say goodbye. Part of me wanted to knock on her door, to apologize, to promise I would visit every weekend. But Mrs. Rodriguez's voice in my head reminded me, you're allowed to start your own life. You're not responsible for managing your mother's emotions. So I left. As Tyler drove away from the house where I had spent so many years feeling trapped, I looked back one time. Then I faced forward, toward my new life. The first few months on my own were incredibly hard, but in a completely different way than before. I struggled with practical things like grocery shopping, cooking meals, managing my budget, and getting myself to work on time. Tyler was patient and helped me figure things out. He probably thought I was really immature for a 20-year-old. But he never said so. Mom called me constantly at first, sometimes 20 times a day. She left long voicemail messages saying she couldn't function without me, that she was falling apart, that I needed to come home. Each message made me feel guilty and scared. Mrs. Rodriguez, who I still saw occasionally through video calls, helped me set boundaries. She suggested I could call Mom once a week at a scheduled time, and that I could let her know this was the new arrangement. When I told Mom about the once-a-week call schedule, she exploded. She said I was abandoning her, that I was cruel and heartless. But I stuck to my decision. It was painful, but necessary. After a few months, something surprising happened. Mom's calls became less desperate. She started telling me about things she was doing. She joined a book club. She was spending more time with her sister. She had started taking a watercolor painting class. She sounded different, lighter somehow. Meanwhile, my life was expanding in ways I never imagined possible. I made friends at work. I went to movies, tried new restaurants, explored the city. I joined a gym and started working out, which helped with my anxiety. I even went on a few dates, though I was so inexperienced with relationships that they were pretty awkward. One evening, about 6 months after I moved out, I was sitting in a cafe with some coworkers. We were laughing about something silly that happened at the office. Suddenly, I realized I was happy. Genuinely, deeply happy. I couldn't remember ever feeling this way before. That night, I called Mom during our scheduled time. For the first time, our conversation felt almost normal. She asked about my job, and I told her about a project I was working on. She told me about a painting she was working on in her class. We talked for 30 minutes, and when we hung up, I didn't feel drained or guilty. It wasn't perfect. There were still times when Mom tried to pull me back into old patterns. She would sometimes say things like, "I really need you to come home this weekend. I'm not doing well." In the past, I would have dropped everything and rushed to her. Now, I would ask questions. What's going on? Is it a medical emergency? Have you talked to your doctor or your sister? Usually, it wasn't a real emergency. It was just her wanting me to come back and be the person who managed her emotions. I learned to say, "I can't come this weekend, but I'll call you tomorrow to check in." Each time I did this, it got a little easier. I also started therapy with my own counselor in the city, Dr. Patterson. He helped me work through a lot of the damage from those years of isolation and control. He explained that I would probably struggle with things like making decisions, trusting my own judgment, and forming healthy relationships. He was right, but he also said I could heal from all of it, and he was right about that too. 1 year after I moved out, something amazing happened. A woman named Sophie started working in my department. She was smart, funny, and kind. We became friends first, eating lunch together and talking about books and movies. Slowly, carefully, our friendship grew into something more. I was terrified of dating Sophie. I didn't know how to be in a healthy relationship. I had no model for what that looked like. That Sophie was patient with me. When I explained that I had come from a difficult family situation and was still learning how to be independent, she didn't judge me. She just said, "We'll figure it out together." Dating Sophie taught me what a healthy relationship looks like. She never tried to control me or make me feel guilty for spending time with friends. She had her own hobbies and friends, and she encouraged me to have mine. When we disagreed about something, we talked about it calmly, instead of one person crying or giving the silent treatment. It was so different from what I had known that sometimes it felt unreal. When I told Mom I was dating someone, there was a long silence on the phone. Then she said, "That's nice, Jake. I'm happy for you." Her voice sounded strained, but she didn't cry or get angry. It was progress. I invited Mom to meet Sophie after we had been dating for 6 months. I was nervous about how it would go. But Mom was polite and even friendly. She asked Sophie about her work and interests. It wasn't perfect. I could see Mom struggling sometimes, holding back comments I knew she wanted to make. But she tried. And that meant something. Now, 2 years after I moved out, my life is completely different. I got promoted at work. I have a good group of friends. Sophie and I are talking about moving in together. I have hobbies. I started learning guitar and I volunteer at a youth center on weekends. My relationship with Mom is better than it ever was when I lived with her, though it's still complicated sometimes. She has built her own life, which has helped a lot. She's closer with her sister now, and she has friends from her painting class. She still leans on me emotionally sometimes, but Dr. Patterson has helped me learn when to support her and when to set boundaries. Last month, Mom said something that surprised me. We were having coffee together during one of my visits home. She looked at me and said, "Jake, I'm sorry for how I was when you were growing up. I can see now that I held on to you too tight. I was afraid of being alone. And I made that your problem. You deserved better." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to say it's okay. But Dr. Patterson had taught me not to minimize my own experience. So instead, I said, "Thank you for saying that. It means a lot. I know it wasn't easy for you either." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "You've become such a strong, independent person. I'm proud of you, even though I made it so hard for you to get here." That conversation didn't fix everything. Years of unhealthy patterns don't disappear because of one apology. But it was a start. It was her acknowledging the truth, and that mattered. Looking back now, I can see how trapped I was. I was like a bird in a cage who had forgotten that birds are supposed to fly. Breaking free was the scariest thing I ever did. There were so many times I almost gave up and went back. The guilt was overwhelming. The fear was paralyzing. But I kept going, one small step at a time. I got help from people like Mrs. Rodriguez and Dr. Patterson. I learned to trust myself and my own feelings. I discovered that I was capable of living independently, of making good decisions, of building healthy relationships. If you're reading this and you feel trapped in an unhealthy situation, please know that escape is possible. It might not be easy. It might take time and planning. You might need help from counselors, teachers, friends, or other trusted adults. But you deserve to have your own life. You deserve to be free. Freedom doesn't mean you stop loving the people who have controlled you. It means you love yourself enough to build healthy boundaries. It means you recognize that you're a separate person with your own thoughts, feelings, and dreams. It means you understand that real love doesn't trap or control. It allows space for both people to grow. Today, when I wake up in the morning, I get to decide what I'm going to wear. I get to choose what to eat for breakfast. I get to plan my day based on what I want and need, not based on managing someone else's emotions. These might sound like small things, but to me, they're everything. I still have hard days. Sometimes I struggle with making decisions because I'm so used to second-guessing myself. Sometimes I feel guilty about being happy when I know Mom is having a difficult day. Sometimes old fears creep back in. But now I have tools to deal with these feelings. I have my therapist, my support system, and most importantly, I have myself. I've learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I've learned that asking for help isn't weakness. It's wisdom. I've learned that healing is possible, even when the damage runs deep. My story isn't unique. There are so many people trapped in unhealthy relationships with parents, partners, friends, or other family members. Control can look like love, especially when it's all you've ever known. But once you see the truth, once you understand what healthy relationships really look like, you can't unsee it. Breaking free was the hardest thing I ever did. It was also the best thing I ever did. Every day, I'm grateful for the courage I found to take that first step. Every day, I'm building a life that's truly mine. If you're in an unhealthy situation, please reach out for help. Talk to a school counselor, a therapist, a trusted teacher, or a friend's parent. Call a helpline. You don't have to figure it all out alone. There are people who understand and who want to help. You deserve to be free. You deserve to discover who you really are, separate from the people who have controlled you. You deserve to make your own choices, chase your own dreams, and build your own life. It won't be easy, but I promise you, it will be worth it. On the other side of fear is freedom. On the other side of guilt is peace. On the other side of control is your true self, waiting to be discovered. Take the first step, even if it's tiny. Make one phone call. Tell one person the truth. Set one small boundary. Each step will make the next one easier. You are stronger than you know, and you don't have to do this alone. Your life is waiting for you. Go claim it.